Archangel Michael says, "My dear soul, this message is not appearing before you to pressure you or frighten you, but to gently interrupt your routine and invite you into awareness, because sometimes life moves so quickly that you forget to pause, reflect, and truly examine where you are heading, and this pause is not about urgency but about clarity. There are moments when your spirit needs alignment more than excitement, and this is one of those moments. You have been moving forward carrying responsibilities, expectations, silent stress, and private questions that you rarely speak about, and although you appear strong on the outside, there are parts of you quietly asking for reassurance, direction, and grounding. Archangel Michael says, "You may feel as if you have been pushing yourself constantly, trying to handle everything alone, believing that strength means silence and independence means isolation, but true strength also includes awareness and balance. When you ignore your emotional state for too long, it begins to reflect in your decisions. When you rush through life without reflection, you may move forward physically but remain uncertain internally." This message is not here to judge you. It is here to remind you that awareness creates stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence creates wise decisions. There is no countdown. There is no threat. There is only an invitation to become conscious of your direction. Ask yourself honestly, are your current habits supporting the future you desire, or are they simply maintaining comfort? Comfort feels safe, but growth requires intention. You may have felt recently that something needs to change, not dramatically, but intentionally. Perhaps your focus needs sharpening. Perhaps your discipline needs strengthening. Perhaps your emotional boundaries need clarity. These realizations are not punishments, they are signals of growth. Archangel Michael says, responsibility is not something to fear. Responsibility is empower. Your mindset, you stop feeling like life is happening to you and start realizing that you are shaping it. Even small shifts in awareness can create powerful long-term change. One disciplined habit repeated daily can transform your direction over time. One honest conversation can clear emotional weight. One decision to prioritize your peace can restore balance. You may have been distracted lately, pulled into unnecessary noise, comparison, or overthinking. That does not mean you have failed. It means you are human. The key is not perfection but correction. The moment you become aware, you regain control. That is why this message matters, not because something terrible will happen, but because clarity prevents unnecessary struggle. When you move forward with awareness, you reduce regret. When you respond calmly instead of reacting emotionally, you protect your future. Archangel Michael says, do not interpret this as anger. Interpret it as concern for your growth. Growth requires attention. Attention requires pause. Pause requires willingness. If you are still here listening, that means part of you is ready to reflect. Reflection builds maturity. Maturity builds stability. Stability builds success. Take a quiet breath right now. Think about the area of your life that feels slightly unsettled. Instead of avoiding it, face it calmly. You do not need dramatic change overnight. You need steady improvement. Improvement built slowly lasts longer than rushed transformation. Archangel Michael says, this is not about fear. This is about focus. It is about protecting your energy, strengthening your discipline, and making decisions that align with your higher potential. When you operate from clarity instead of pressure, your life becomes more intentional. Archangel Michael says, "My dear soul, as you continue listening, understand that awareness is not a single realization, but a process that unfolds layer by layer, and the reason this moment feels significant is not because something frightening is approaching but because something within you is ready to mature, ready to strengthen, and ready to operate from a higher level of clarity than before." You may have sensed recently that your energy has been scattered, that your thoughts have been busy but not necessarily productive, that your days feel full yet not always purposeful, and this subtle feeling is not weakness, it is a signal that your mind and spirit are asking for alignment. Alignment does not happen through pressure, it happens through intentional reflection. When you slow down enough to observe your own patterns, you begin to see where your energy leaks, where your discipline weakens, and where your potential waits patiently for your attention. Archangel Michael says, "There are areas in your life where you have tolerated confusion simply because facing clarity requires responsibility, and responsibility can feel heavy when you are already carrying many expectations. But avoiding clarity does not make life lighter, it makes it uncertain. Certainty grows when you are willing to examine your choices honestly. Think about your daily routine. Think about how you spend your time, your focus, your emotional energy. Are these investments aligned with the future you imagine for yourself, or are they temporary distractions that provide short comfort but no long-term direction?" This is not a question meant to criticize you, it is meant to empower you. The moment you recognize misalignment, you regain the ability to correct it. Correction is growth. Growth builds confidence. Archangel Michael says, "Emotional maturity is one of the most powerful forms of protection you can develop. When you react impulsively, you give your power away to circumstances. When you respond, but a process that unfolds layer by layer, and the reason this moment feels significant is not because something frightening is approaching but because something within you is ready to mature, ready to strengthen, and ready to operate from a higher level of clarity than before." You may have sensed recently that your energy has been scattered, that your thoughts have been busy but not necessarily productive, that your days feel full yet not always purposeful, and this subtle feeling is not weakness, it is a signal that your mind and spirit are asking for alignment. Alignment does not happen through pressure, it happens through intentional reflection. When you slow down enough to observe your own patterns, you begin to see where your energy leaks, where your discipline weakens, and where your potential waits patiently for your attention. Archangel Michael says, "There are areas in your life where you have tolerated confusion simply because facing clarity requires responsibility, and responsibility can feel heavy when you are already carrying many expectations. But avoiding clarity does not make life lighter, it makes it uncertain. Certainty grows when you are willing to examine your choices honestly. Think about your daily routine. Think about how you spend your time, your focus, your emotional energy. Are these investments aligned with the future you imagine for yourself, or are they temporary distractions that provide short comfort but no long-term direction? This is not a question meant to criticize you, it is meant to empower you. The moment you recognize misalignment, you regain the ability to correct it. Correction is growth. Growth builds confidence. Archangel Michael says, Emotional maturity is one of the most powerful forms of protection you can develop. When you react impulsively, you give your power away to circumstances. When you respond thoughtfully, you maintain control. There may have been situations recently where you felt misunderstood, overlooked, or pressured to act quickly, and perhaps you responded out of emotion rather than intention. That does not define you. What defines you is your willingness to improve. Every experience, even the uncomfortable ones, contains information. When you reflect instead of resist, you extract wisdom. Wisdom strengthens your future decisions. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are evolving. Evolution often feels uncomfortable because it requires letting go of old habits that once felt safe. Comfort zones feel predictable, but they rarely produce transformation. The version of you that you are becoming requires stronger discipline, clearer boundaries, and more focused priorities. That version of you is not distant, it is forming right now through the small choices you make daily. Every time you choose to focus instead of procrastinate, to save instead of overspend, to communicate calmly instead of argue emotionally, you reinforce your growth. Archangel Michael says, it is important to examine your environment as well. There is also a deeper level of responsibility emerging in your life. You may feel called to become more organized, more financially aware, more intentional with your time. These impulses are not random, they are signs of maturity. Instead of ignoring them, embrace them. Create structure. Set goals. Track progress. Structure does not restrict freedom, it creates stability. Stability gives you room to grow without chaos. Archangel Michael says, patience must walk alongside discipline. You may want immediate results. You may want visible proof that your efforts are working. But true transformation often develops quietly before it becomes visible. Do not abandon consistency just because progress feels slow. Slow growth that is rooted in discipline is stronger than fast growth built on impulse. Stay steady. Improvement compounds over time. Reflect also on your self-talk. The words you repeat internally shape your confidence. If you constantly doubt your ability, you weaken your momentum. Replace doubt with preparation. If you feel unprepared, learn more. If you feel uncertain, plan more carefully. Confidence built on preparation is unshakable. Confidence built on wishful thinking fades quickly. Archangel Michael says, this moment is about reclaiming focus. You do not need dramatic change overnight. You need consistent improvement. Start with one area. Strengthen it. Then move to the next. Growth layered steadily becomes powerful. When you look back months from now, you will recognize that this pause was not interruption, it was redirection. Take a deep breath and consider what needs your attention most right now. Is it your discipline? Your financial planning? Your emotional boundaries? Your time management? Choose one. Commit to improving it deliberately. That commitment is the beginning of your transformation. Archangel Michael says, nothing is being forced upon you. You are being invited to step into a stronger version of yourself. Awareness creates opportunity. Responsibility creates stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence creates progress. And progress, built patiently, creates the future you desire. Archangel Michael says, "My dear soul, as you continue walking through this message, understand that awareness is not only about recognizing where you have been distracted, it is also about recognizing how much strength you have already developed without giving yourself credit, because many of the battles you have faced were silent, many of the pressures you carried were unseen, and many of the sacrifices you made were unnoticed by others, yet you kept moving forward, and that persistence is proof that you are far more capable than you sometimes believe." The reason this moment feels important is not because something external is threatening you, but because something internal is awakening within you, a higher standard for your own life, a clearer vision for your future, and a stronger desire to live intentionally rather than reactively. Archangel Michael says, "There are patterns in your life that are slowly shifting, even if you have not fully recognized them yet, because growth rarely announces itself loudly, it happens quietly in the decisions you make when no one is watching, in the discipline you practice when distractions tempt you, and in the boundaries you begin to set when you realize your energy is valuable." You may have noticed recently that certain conversations no longer feel aligned with you, that certain habits feel heavier than before, that certain environments drain you more than they inspire you, and this awareness is not negativity, it is maturity. When you begin to outgrow what once felt normal, it means your standards are rising. Archangel Michael says, "Do not fear this transition." When your standards rise, your life begins to reorganize around them. Some distractions may naturally fall away. Some priorities may become clearer. Some relationships may require healthier communication. This is not loss, it is alignment. Alignment simplifies your path. Instead of chasing everything, you begin choosing intentionally. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond thoughtfully. Instead of rushing decisions, you evaluate them calmly. That calm evaluation protects your long-term stability. You may have felt recently that you need to become more focused, more structured, more disciplined, and this feeling is not pressure, it is preparation. Preparation means you are ready to handle greater responsibility. Greater responsibility brings greater opportunity. Opportunity requires readiness. Readiness is built through consistent habits. Look at your daily routine honestly. Where can you improve slightly? Not dramatically, but slightly. Small improvements repeated daily create significant transformation over time. 1 hour of focused effort each day compounds. One consistent financial habit compounds. One steady mindset shift compounds. Archangel Michael says, your emotional responses are also evolving. You are beginning to see situations differently. Where you once reacted quickly, you now pause. Where you once felt overwhelmed, you now analyze. This shift is powerful. Emotional regulation strengthens decision-making. When your emotions are balanced, your choices become clearer. When your choices are clearer, your outcomes improve. Stability begins internally before it appears externally. There may also be a financial awareness forming within you. Perhaps you are thinking more seriously about planning, saving, investing your time and resources more wisely. These thoughts are not random. They are signs that you are preparing for a more stable future. Financial growth does not begin with money, it begins with mindset. When you treat your current resources responsibly, you build trust in yourself. Self-trust builds confidence. Confidence allows you to handle larger opportunities calmly. Archangel Michael says, comparison must be released completely. The world shows you highlights of others' success but rarely their preparation. You do not see their discipline, their setbacks, their private corrections. Do not measure your progress against someone else's visible results. Measure it against your past self. Are you more aware now? More disciplined? More intentional? If the answer is yes, you are progressing. There is also a deeper layer to this moment: forgiveness. Forgive yourself for past decisions made without awareness. Forgive yourself for times when you acted impulsively. Growth requires self-compassion. If you carry guilt, it drains your focus. Release it. Learn from it. Move forward stronger. Self-forgiveness is not weakness, it is maturity. Archangel Michael says, you are entering a season where clarity will matter more than speed. Do not rush what needs careful thought. Do not ignore what requires attention. Organize your goals clearly. Break them into practical steps. Review them regularly. Structure creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence. As you reflect right now, think about one area of your life that needs refinement. Not destruction, not drastic change, but refinement. Perhaps your time management needs structure. Perhaps your spending habits need awareness. Perhaps your emotional boundaries need strengthening. Choose one area and commit to steady improvement. That single commitment can alter your trajectory over months and years. Archangel Michael says, nothing in this message is about fear or urgency. It is about focus and elevation. You are capable of more stability, more discipline, more clarity than you have allowed yourself to embody fully. This moment is simply reminding you of that capacity. When you operate from awareness, you protect your future from unnecessary mistakes. When you operate from discipline, you build long-term security. When you operate from calm strength, you become unstoppable in a balanced way. Take a slow breath. Recognize your growth. Recognize your potential. Recognize that you are not being warned, you are being awakened. Awakening feels subtle but powerful. It shifts your standards quietly. It strengthens your resolve steadily. It guides your decisions intentionally. Archangel Michael says, continue forward with patience. Continue forward with structure. Continue forward with emotional balance. The future you desire is not built in a single dramatic moment. It is built through repeated disciplined actions layered over time. Stay consistent. Stay aware. Stay intentional. Archangel Michael says, my dear soul, as you move deeper into this message, understand that true awakening is not loud or dramatic, it is subtle, steady, and deeply personal, and what is happening within you right now is not a reaction to fear but a response to growth, because when your awareness expands, you begin to see your life from a higher perspective, you begin to recognize patterns that once felt invisible, and you begin to understand that your future is shaped far more by your daily discipline than by occasional bursts of motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Discipline protects you from your own inconsistency. Discipline builds confidence quietly. And confidence built through discipline creates a stability that no external situation can easily shake. Archangel Michael says, there are seasons in life where comfort must be gently challenged. You may have been functioning adequately, surviving, managing, even progressing in small ways, but now you feel an internal call to refine your standards, to raise your expectations for yourself, to operate with greater intentionality. This is not pressure. It is maturity. Maturity does not arrive all at once, it develops through repeated reflection. When you begin to question your habits, your priorities, your environment, you are stepping into responsibility. Responsibility is not a burden. It is authority over your direction. Think carefully about your time. Time is your most valuable resource, and once spent, it cannot be recovered. How often do you allow distraction to consume hours that could be invested in improvement? How often do you postpone tasks that would create long-term relief? The awareness you are developing now is an invitation to treat your time with respect. When you respect your time, you begin structuring it. When you structure it, productivity increases. When productivity increases, confidence strengthens. And when confidence strengthens, your future begins to look less uncertain and more manageable. Archangel Michael says, emotional clarity is another powerful layer of your evolution. You may have noticed that you are less reactive than before, that situations which once triggered immediate responses now receive thoughtful consideration instead. That shift is growth. Emotional regulation is strength. It allows you to evaluate before responding. It prevents unnecessary conflict. It protects relationships and opportunities from being damaged by impulse. As you continue refining this emotional awareness, your decisions will become more aligned with your long-term goals rather than short-term feelings. There is also a financial dimension to this awareness. Perhaps you are realizing that stability requires planning. Perhaps you are seeing that small careless decisions accumulate over time. Financial discipline does not require large income. It requires consistent management. Even modest resources, when organized carefully, create security. Security reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety improves clarity. Improved clarity enhances productivity. Everything connects. Archangel Michael says, growth requires honesty. Be honest with yourself about where improvement is needed. Not in a harsh way, not in a self-critical way, but in a constructive way. Ask yourself what habit, if corrected, would have the greatest positive impact. It might be waking up earlier, limiting distractions, budgeting more carefully, communicating more clearly, or committing to personal development consistently. Choose one area and strengthen it deliberately. Strength builds upon strength. You may also feel that some relationships or influences no longer align with your evolving standards. This does not mean you must abandon people abruptly, it means you must protect your energy wisely. Spend more time around conversations that inspire growth rather than reinforce limitation. Environment influences mindset. Mindset influences action. Action influences outcome. By consciously choosing your environment, you support your evolution. Archangel Michael says, "Do not underestimate the power of routine." Routine may seem ordinary, but it is the structure that supports extraordinary results. When you create consistent routines, you remove unnecessary decision fatigue. You conserve mental energy for meaningful tasks. Routine reduces chaos. Reduced chaos increases clarity. Clarity strengthens discipline. There may be moments when progress feels slow. In those moments, remind yourself that slow progress built on consistency is more durable than fast progress built on impulse. Patience is not passive, it is controlled persistence. Keep showing up. Keep refining. Keep improving incrementally. Compounding effort over months creates transformation that feels almost invisible until you suddenly realize how far you have come. Archangel Michael says, self-respect is growing within you. When you respect yourself, you protect your boundaries. You do not tolerate behaviors that drain your energy unnecessarily. You do not compromise your long-term goals for temporary approval. You begin making decisions based on alignment rather than pressure. This self-respect strengthens your identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. As you reflect now, visualize the version of yourself 6 months from today if you commit fully to discipline, clarity, and emotional balance. Imagine how organized you could become. Imagine how stable your finances could feel. Imagine how calm your responses could be. That version of you is not unrealistic. It is the natural outcome of consistent awareness applied daily. Archangel Michael says, this is not a final warning. This is a foundational reminder. You are not being threatened, you are being elevated. The power to shape your future lies in your habits, your mindset, your willingness to reflect and adjust. Every small improvement builds momentum. Every disciplined action builds trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, you move through life with quiet strength. Take one more deep breath. Acknowledge your growth. Acknowledge your capacity. Acknowledge that this moment of pause is strengthening your direction. Continue forward with calm intention. Continue refining your standards. Continue protecting your focus. If this message resonates deeply with you, comment, "I choose discipline and clarity," below. Like this video if you are ready to strengthen your habits, and subscribe if you are committed to building your future with awareness, patience, and steady confidence.